Hey everybody, welcome to Comic Convos Express. My name is Pedro Vega, comic book fanboy, and here's Tommy Rodriguez.
What's up, people? Welcome.
And we are conversating about comic books today and age. You know, like if you go to a comic store, you want to have a conversation about your favorite heroes. Today we're going to focus on Spider-Man. So let me just load my phone here. Going live. Anyway,
I'm gonna take over for just a second. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pev Gamer. Normally we play some video games up on this channel, but we are going to be hosting the Comic Convos Express podcast exclusively over here, and make sure to stay in tune very, very soon for our own YouTube channel, Comic Combos Express. I will make sure there is a link down somewhere around here. Now, I will be moderating, but Tommy and Pedro are both going to be in control of this podcast. We have a full itinerary on for you guys today, so I hope everybody enjoys. All right, back to you guys.
Thank you, Pev. And make sure to go to twitch.tv/PevGamer. Like our video, and then subscribe. You've got some good stuff and got good stuff to talk about.
Hey, P, do we have a sponsor for the show?
Yes, we do. We have our sponsor is Doobie's Energy Drink. They have 10 ingredients made from coffee beans extracts. My favorite part about all this, they have 0 sugar in this energy drink, and it's the really good stuff. Hopefully in the next future episodes we'll have some drinks and we can promote it and taste it and give you a good flavor for it.
Oh, natural.
If you go to doobie.gg, you could get and you use the promo code PevGamer, all caps by the way, and you get 10% off your whole entire order. So, you know, Doobie energy drink. Get your Doobie on. That'll be the lingo. Get it from us.
They told me to say blow it out your ass.
Oh, it is legit, you know? It's an energy.
It's coffee, baby. It's coffee.
It's coffee. Anyway.
All right, P, what we got on the menu today, man?
Well, we got, you tell us, Pam, where do you think we should go?
So today's segment 1 is going to start, well, I should say episode 1 is going to be an entire Spider-Man theme. We're going to be talking about the comics, we're going to be talking about the movies, and we're going to be talking about the great examples we have of media that have formed. Video games, cartoons, collectibles, all sorts of shit. So definitely lean on back and have fun. Look at them pointing. Look at the beautiful ass models over there.
We got to show it off. We got to show the Spidey gear. We got to love for Spidey.
Got to get your Spidey on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, guys, segment 1 is, what is both of yours number 1, like, definitive comic book arc for Spider-Man?
Well, as a Spider-Man fan, I got to say that there's a lot of arcs. See, I've been reading Spider-Man for a long time, and, you know, I could dissect a lot of the storylines that really touched the nerve for me, and which was my favorite, which was not my favorite. But I'm going to start with my favorite. And it's the most definitive Spider-Man arc ever told. And, Tom, you're welcome to disagree, but I think the number 1, top of the list, that affected Spider-Man in the worst way, the death of Gwen Stacy. This is his first true love. And during his battle with the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, when he found out that Spider-Man and Peter were the same person, they had this big ass fight. He went after his heart, and it could have been Aunt May, which surprisingly did not. Instead, he went after Gwen Stacy, and that Washington Bridge incident, or Brooklyn Bridge, whichever one that they wrote in, it's okay either way. But it was a big bridge, and it was a big fall as he pushed her right off there, and Spider-Man was there to save her. Shot that web last second, and he caught her, and the neck snap. And it was the snap heard around the world. I don't care where you were at back then in the 70s and the 60s, whatever, you remember the snap. And whether you want to say Green Goblin was responsible for killing her or Spider-Man himself. But it was the definitive Spider-Man. It tested his power and responsibility. And when he went after Norman after that, and in the end, he did die that day. Well, supposedly die. He did come back later on.
Yep.
But when he was impaled with that glider right into his chest, just keep in mind, Peter, just before that, could have killed him. With his powers, he could have beat the crap out of him, snapped his neck, just for payback. And instead, he held himself back. He remembered what Uncle Ben would tell him: with great power comes great responsibility. And in the end, he just couldn't do it. Norman decided to test the boundaries, and he got impaled himself. So to me, that struck a nerve because like how far can you push Spider-Man? And over the years, they've pushed him many times, many storylines.
Let me ask you just a quick question, just to interrupt for a second. Would you say it's Spider-Man's definitive moment where he had every chance he could have to kill his arch nemesis, but didn't, and showing restraint and that a sense of?
The first time we saw it, yes, I would have to say yes. It was definitive. It also was definitive as the moment as someone in the cast was not safe. Like Aunt May was never killed at that moment. I think the only person that was actually like death scene that was really tragic was Uncle Ben. But it motivated him to be in Spider-Man. So when Gwen died, it was like, okay, you're the one person he loves that that he was picturing his future with. Yep. It just snapped him. And lucky for us, he could have gone a different way.
Could have went to the dark side.
Dark side of the force, right?
He could have went
exactly.
really bad.
So in my opinion, Green Goblin should have gotten it, and he didn't. And he ended up doing it to himself, and he was dead for 20 years before he came back. And that's a separate storyline. But in the end,
Peter Parker 75 when he came back, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man right after the Clone Saga. Yep. I don't care what anybody says. That was a good storyline, but that's separate.
Clone Saga.
Yeah, the Clone Saga.
That's another whole other subject.
That's a Band-Aid I'll rip off and just tell you it's okay.
Other, can of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, and that ASM, that was John Romita Jr., correct?
Yes.
Okay.
75. But the original was Jerry Conway, the writer.
Yes.
And the artist was Gil Kane. So, two good names. They did a good job in that storyline and made me cry about Gwen's face when I first read it. So.
Is Conway still around, or? Jerry Conway.
Jerry Conway. I just saw him recently at Terrificon.
Terrificon. There you go. Mohegan Sun.
Yep, Mohegan Sun. Every year. Just as good as Comic-Con. Just keep that in mind. Maybe even better. Because I've been to both, and I will compare notes, but that'll be for another segment.
Probably one of the biggest meetings of writers and artists in the area. Actually, from all around.
Yeah, and they come down. They have fun, and they can gamble too, after they come and meet the fanboys. Just trying to entice you guys to come over. But anyway, back to the topic. Yeah, that was my definitive story, and, Gwen never came back. I mean, she was cloned. They brought her from alternate universes, but she never actually came back.
Yeah, so, that's my original Gwen. I mean, the one that's out now in the cartoons and the cartoon shows and everything. It's not my Gwen, man.
The Ghost Spider.
Yeah, I'm kind of old school. I like the older stuff.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna start a hashtag not my Gwen.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards the older stuff because I like most of the artists, the writing back then compared to the newer stuff. But that's just me, and I'm old school.
Nothing wrong being old school.
I went to high school with Jesus. What can I say?
Exactly. That's how we do this. But I do have a couple of honorable mentions, like Kraven's Last Hunt. I kind of enjoyed that really well. That was another one that you got to push Spidey because Kraven, as much as he's a great hunter in the book, he was going a little loops. He can never catch Spider-Man for some unknown reason. And the idea of capturing Spider-Man, putting him in a coffin and burying him alive, and then taking over his identity. It just like what were you thinking? And then when he's trying to understand Spider-Man and realize he couldn't be just as good as Spider-Man, suicide. Enough said. It just did not explain.
He unalived himself.
He unalived himself. That's a better word. It's a tough word.
That's a trigger warning, guys. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. You don't want to be like Kraven.
He knocked himself out while putting a 12 gauge to his mouth. There you go.
Cobain. We'll just say Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain is crazy.
But the good news in the whole story was Peter was buried, and he found the strength to get out of that coffin, dig himself way out, and see Kraven off himself before he could just realize that he was okay. So that takes a lot of strength just to be in that situation. You freak out with claustrophobic. You're underneath the ground, and you just want to get out and just dig your way out to life. He always showed that he wants to live and he's fighting for life, and I respect that.
To piggyback off of that, That was my take. No kidding.
Hey,
Kraven ate some spiders. He freaked out, like you said. He buried Spider-Man alive. Just buried him. And one of my greatest, Mike Zeke. Was it Bob McCloud? Who inked that?
Bob McCloud, yeah.
Bob McCloud and the writer Dave
was J.M. DeMatteis.
Yes,
There you go.
yes, excellent writing in these covers, and it crossed over to 3 books, I believe: the ASM,
Amazing Spider-Man,
Spectacular Spider-Man,
Web of Spider-Man,
and Web. Yep, amazing. And these covers are so iconic. They're iconic.
Yeah, Mike Zeck was one of the old school guys.
How about you, Tom? What's your definitive Spider-Man storyline?
Kraven the Last Hunt. Unfortunately, Paige already said it.
That was my
That's why I said I'm
but...
piggybacking off of him. Again, Kraven's Last Hunt. It's just embedded in my head. The cover's iconic, and Kraven was just amazing. And not only that, he came back so many years later in the Tom McFarlane run in 1990, and it's cool because that one image stays embedded in my head where has Calypso. Remember Calypso? Tom McFarlane. He actually wrote it and drew it. Tom McFarlane, and then it shows the part where, at the end of the page, because Spidey gets attacked by the lizard, and then the lizard, the poison of his nails, it scratches him. Of course, he's like hallucinating, and he sees an image of Kraven, and this last page stays stuck in my head, where it shows half of Kraven's head, because half of it was blown off, and loved it all.
Mike Kurt Zeke, Cobain.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain, the man. Come as you are.
I think that's the word we need to use. Not suicide. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain it. So, like I said, that was hands down one of my favorite story arcs. I mean, there's other ones that popped up, Maximum Carnage, the Ben Reilly saga, and all that. But
another honorable mention I'd like to throw at you is the Venom saga, like the introduction of Venom when Eddie Brock got the symbiote. The symbiote was on Spider-Man from Secret Wars, another good storyline. But he came back to Earth with this live symbiote, and it would control his body while he was sleeping. He didn't use his costume or his web shooters. It would just shoot the webs by itself. He was more aggressive because of the costume, the symbiote. And when he decided when he found out he was being controlled by it, he did everything possible to get it off. And it took the church bells.
And also remember, just to offer your... what you just said. When Spider-Man used to go to sleep, the costume used to go onto him and he used to run around, jump around outside, and Spider-Man would wake up Peter Parker would wake up every day and be like, damn, why am I so tired? Because the suit just basically possessed him. He went to actually the Thing in Fantastic Four to try to get it off, and they tried to use a sonic gun, remember?
That's how he found out.
ASM 298, 299, of course, and 300, the McFarlane run. But Eddie Brock's actual first appearance was in Web of Spider-Man.
Yes.
I don't remember the last page where he pushes him into the subway. Mm-hmm. That's a great fun.
Guys, I just want to interrupt real quick, too. Little Redwood from England says hello.
Hey. What's up, man? Welcome.
Good for England.
Welcome.
We love you guys at the pond. Love you over the pond.
Some tea. Yeah. Some crumpets.
Represent. No, we love you guys.
We're good, man. We're good.
But, so anyway, the symbiote got off of Spider-Man, or Peter, and ends up finding a depressed Eddie Brock. He just lost his job.
I was gonna say, why was he so depressed?
Because he was forging pictures at the Bugle.
He was trying to
trying to get ahead of Peter as a photographer. Did not work as a reporter, and he lost his job. He got fired as his reporter, and he went back. I don't think it was the Daily Bugle. It might have been a different newspaper organization.
No, it was Daily Bugle. He worked side by side with Eddie.
He was Peter Parker. Okay, my bad on that. I have to double check that. But he ended up going to the church, and I guess he was contemplating Kurt Cobain. That's another one.
He was really depressed.
He was that depressed, and the symbiote, it was like in the middle of his prayer, and all of a sudden the symbiote dripped down on him.
It was meant for him to meet,
And it was just like, it was momentous, and it also helped him fuel his anger for Peter and Spider-Man, because, he didn't like Spider-Man, he didn't like Peter Parker for what he was doing, costing him his job. The symbiote reveals to him that he's Spider-Man.
Oh, gentlemen, so we have a couple little games that the audience can redeem. So Little Redwood has redeemed 150 points for you both to hydrate. So take a drink of your soda, boys.
All right. Well, we don't have any
cheers.
Doobie, but
Cheers.
We'll do that. Just for you guys.
We got a doobie. Get some doobies.
Doobie energy drink. As soon as they come in, I guarantee you, we'll hype them up.
No sugar and
No sugar. That's the
coffee.
best part, because I'm, as a diabetic, no sugar.
I as well.
It's good. It still tastes just as good as the original. So anyway,
Eddie Brock,
the Venom. So he knows his Spider-Man, and it was the best way for him to attack after.
and not only did he know it was Spider-Man, that the physical strength that Eddie Brock had, he used to bench press. I don't know if you remember the panel where he used to just lift.
The weight.
So he was not only was he jacked, he just had a love and a hate. Well, he had a hate for Spider-Man. I mean Peter Parker, and the Spider-Man symbiote suit had a hate for Peter Parker. So you put it all together in Spider-Man, you got a match made in hell, man. That's all I could say, man.
And look at the Peter's life. He was married to Mary Jane at the time.
Yep.
He, Aunt May, on his life. He's working at the Bugle still, and this guy knows who Peter is, and he could attack him as Spider-Man anytime he wants. Remember, his symbiote blocks the spider senses.
Yeah.
So he could attack him anytime he wanted, and Peter wouldn't even see it coming. And he could attack him as Peter.
Yep.
So, Venom was at that time, the man to attack Spidey in any way, whether it was Peter Parker or Spider-Man.
For full transparency, more from my father, from Pedro over there, I love how when we started this, he looked at me and said, "Oh, I don't want this to be all about Venom. I want to do a whole different segment on Venom."
Well, just for the record, Venom's first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man, so you had to mention him.
He's an honorable mention.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, after this we continue, I'll put a little rag over the Venom suit and we'll move on. But there's also Maximum Carnage. I love that storyline. It crossed over with all... No, it was in the 3 issue. No, Maximum Carnage was...
12 issues.
12 issues. Thank
12
you.
issues. Ran through all the Spidey
All the
books.
Spidey
And not only
books.
that, they even had a Super Nintendo game.
Super Nintendo game.
Super Nintendo game,
Old
yeah.
school.
And there's even a comic out, too. There was a one-shot, I remember.
Yeah, there was.
Vaguely remember, yeah.
And all I could tell you was it was good to see Carnage grab a gang of villains and became like a family kind of thing, even though they were killing people and everything. And it caused Spider-Man and Venom to team up. So it's one of the good storylines. And also the 3-part issue Carnage that led to Maximum Carnage before that. That was another good one. Mark Bagley and David Michelini.
367, 368, 369.
361, 362,
and
363.
Nice.
You got it.
You guys got another hydrate.
Another hydrate.
Cheers.
Doobie.
Cheers to the
To
Doobster. On that
that was a good one.
on that Carnage thing, I still embedded in my head, man. And once you read books after a while, man, you go back and it's just there. I remember when Venom and Spidey teamed up to take down Mark Bagley, Randy Edblum.
Take down Mark
Randy
Bagley.
No, I'm sorry, to take down Carnage.
Carnage, yes.
Yeah, to
and it was
take down
done by
Carnage.
Randy
Randy Edblum,
Mark Bagley, Randy
and-
Edblum. It was written by David Michelini.
Yeah, and I remember the fight scene when Venom's fighting Carnage, just blow for blow, and he's fighting him, and Venom's like, "Well, I'm your father," or this and that, blah blah blah. They're throwing blows and blows, and then Venom cocks back and throws a punch. Carnage catches it and is like, "But I'm nastier." Never forget that part, man.
Well, if you compare
Epic.
notes, Eddie Brock, even though he was
He was
juiced
jacked.
he was jacked.
He was jacked.
Cletus was a sick psychopath. He was killing everybody. Even before the symbiote, he was killing people. So
Yeah.
mentally, I give it to Carnage.
The movie.
So, gentlemen, Little Redwood actually responded to one of you guys' things. He said, "I can't lie, Spider-Man is perhaps one of the best Marvel heroes, and the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 4 is actually really fun."
Amazing.
It is.
Amazing. It's
an awesome
amazing.
game.
Get it? Amazing.
Could be considered spectacular.
Hey, it can.
It could be sensational.
You're right. Don't get caught up in that web.
Don't get caught in that way.
Oh, the
No.
web of
It could be
Spider-Man.
the ultimate game.
Hey, it's not superior.
Oh!
Superior Spider-Man, baby.
We could go unlimited with this.
Yeah,
I
we
tell
could.
you.
I could do this. I could do this all day.
Wrong hero.
All right, gentlemen.
Anyway.
So,
It's still Marvel, man.
we're going to move on to the segment 2, which is titled The Spotlight. So, I want you guys to spotlight who are your favorite creators of Spider-Man. Doesn't matter if it's artist, comic writer, it could be even be animator, or maybe even a specific studio. I'll let the ball go in your court, guys. Let me know.
All right. Into that segue, I got my top 5 here. Everyone has their own opinion, who they like, who they love, who they respect. Artist-wise, I got Ditko, of course, because, he started it all.
Steve Ditko.
Steve Ditko, Amazing Fantasies 15. That's where it all started.
Can I have Spider-Man without him?
John Romita. What can I say?
He took over right after
He was a
Ditko.
living legend. He rest in peace, and his son is still doing his thing. John Romita Jr. Number 3, I got Ron Friends.
Oh, nice.
Love his Hobgoblin stuff.
Yes.
Rose, Hobgoblin, Puma, first appearance of Puma.
Yes, spectacular.
Ron Friends, amazing.
He also did Spider-Girl.
Yes,
that's another series.
He did. That's
Gotta
right.
read that.
Was it Marvel 2? What was that?
It was MC2.
MC, yes.
MC2.
There you go.
Good knowledge.
And then
May Parker.
He's up there.
Who?
Tom McFarlane, of course. You cannot make a list without this guy, Tom McFarlane, and I'm sure that's probably one of yours, and we're gonna lock horns.
He's up there.
We are so gonna lock horns after you say it.
Oh, you gotta wait till I say it. Okay.
I'll drop it. All right.
I'm set up.
Listen, I love Tom McFarlane, living legend. He's still doing his thing. He's getting older, still doing his thing. Love Tom McFarlane, all his ASM. It's Incredible Hulks. He did Infinity Incorporated over in DC. Spawn, of course. You can't mention it without Spawn, and then he did the Spider-Man run in the 90s. Love McFarlane. But McFarlane, his anatomy is a little off. meaning, listen, you can draw a character, for example, Venom, all his ASM stuff. Just because you draw 1 million lines doesn't make you a great artist. Okay?
Well,
I'm just saying. I'll put it out there. Because if you ever see his art before any good inker or he even inked this stuff, very bad.
Before the art. So you're saying the ink
for example,
made it better.
Without Scott Williams, I don't know if Jim Lee's art's going to pop as much. Jim Lee, the famous art. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying
why. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like I said, I still love McFarlane. He's on my list.
But wasn't McFarlane the guy who started the whole spaghetti, I call it the spaghetti webbing? Basically, when he shoots the web, it goes in different directions, but it's going in the same direction. It's so weird to describe. But just the fact, the way he did it, it was amazing. Just to see it in action.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So I give Todd the credit for that because,
Oh, he's groundbreaking.
It's groundbreaking.
I got nothing against the guy. I think he's great.
And when you say anatomy, I mean...
But everything, if you see how, for example, Spider-Man's jumping through the air, and you see him swinging, he's got his legs like this, and he's like this, and like that, and you know what I'm saying? Right. It doesn't kind of really... I know it's comic books, okay. I understand.
You might have a good argument when it comes to the first issue of Spider-Man.
Proportion-wise.
Because the proportion, I agree with you.
I mean, but that's his earlier work. Now he's crafted his work.
Exactly.
Again, mad respect for the guy. He's great, fantastic. Love me some McFarlane.
Right. But we'll stick to the topic.
Yeah.
This is about his work on the Spider-Man title.
Yeah.
No offense to Spawn or anything else.
Yeah, no. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man.
So you have an issue
run.
with his anatomy.
Well, just if you look at pretty much his earlier work, I guess. Mm-hmm. But like I said, as he got better. As the years progressed, you can see everything looks a lot better.
Well, I always thought it popped.
Yeah.
Even with Spider-Man's pose in Spider-Man 1, which, like you said, how many of us looked at that picture, thought it was so good, and decided to reenact it, get on your knees like that?
How the hell
it's not easy to do.
Yeah, it's
but
gonna hurt.
It looked good.
It's going to hurt.
So I was not going to hold that against them.
Yeah.
So I just want to put it out there for you guys. So Little Redwood, he's a normal on my channel. I just want you guys to know that. So
what's up?
Him and his girlfriend actually watch the channel. They are both watching right now. And he said that his girlfriend just started this whole rant about how Gwen Stacy is a really good Spider-Woman.
Oh.
We're talking about the Gwen Stacy from Ghost Spider.
Yes.
Ghost Spider.
Yeah, but we were talking about the old Gwen Stacy, the one who died. If she ever gets a chance, tell her to Google
the one who ripped it.
I'll take time to answer this real quick. If you compare the Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, with the Gwen Stacy of then, first of all, there's an age difference. The Spider-Gwen is more of a teenager. She's a rebellious kind of teenage girl.
And then it's made for
drums.
Pretty much the now, what's happening now.
What's happening now, the grunge age. That's the grunge age of Gwen Stacy if she lived through that now. the Gwen Stacy then
We were
was
talking
more of she's very
70s.
intelligent. She was very smart. She was like
Yeah.
she was popular with the guys. You know,
Yeah.
not popular like every
No.
guy was into her. I'm talking about like she was a catch for most men in school,
she was popular
boys
with
in
guys.
school, and Peter felt that he was lucky to have her.
How was she popular?
Where if Peter was in school with the Gwen of then, I don't think they would have noticed each other because it would have been like two separate
Yeah,
groups.
he would have went with his crowd, and she would have went with her crowd.
So I mean, everybody could relate to either Gwen's, and you have a different taste for either Gwen, but they're not both the same person. They may be like DNA wise, they could be the same person,
Yeah,
but one grew up differently than the other, and that's what
Yeah,
makes them
it's
different.
just a whole totally different age. Like all the kids nowadays, everything is tech, everything is iPad, iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
Apple Watch, everything, But then,
Careful, Tom. That's how we're getting paid here.
no, I'm just saying. But back then,
then-
everything was newspapers, televisions,
The rotary phone.
your radio, stuff like
television
that. It's
if we
just
were
a whole
lucky.
totally different vibe from then till now. That's all.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
It's a good discussion. That's what I had to like stop and say. We gotta clarify this.
And I have an honorable mention. I know you said top 5, but I want to say John Romita Jr.
Yes, we talked about his father. Now we're talking about the son.
Another
good
living
one.
legend.
Yes.
This guy's been around, and
He still is.
He's amazing. Spider-Man.
He is.
He's done a lot of the books. He did spin-off books. Peter Parker,
Punisher.
Scott Hanna Inc. John Byrne wrote some of the
Yes.
stuff. John Romita Jr. Amazing. Met him at Terrificon.
Yes, a terrific guy and New York Comic Guy. I saw him both times. Don't let him come back. Keep coming.
He's got to
We
come
love
back
you.
again, man. He's just a really, really down-to-earth guy. Very humble, very nice. John Romita Jr. Did you want to do your artist and then we'll jump to writers?
Well, I also want to piggyback on John Romita Jr. My wife is a huge fan of John Romita. They met, and she connects to him not maybe because of the fact that he might be Italian.
Yeah, he's a little Italian guy. He's
He
about
is. So
3 feet
they were
4.
relating,
He's
and
about
I kind of, as a
3'4".
fanboy, got pushed aside. But I saw him again after a year later, and he was pretty cool. That
He said, "I don't like that
But she gives a props to you too. So
You saw him, he's like, I don't like that guy.
I don't know who you are. She's nice, and I don't blame him.
She's like, I don't like that guy. He said, buddy, can I see your card?
But we're talking about artists.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop on my. Did you want to do your artist or?
Well, I'm gonna start with Mark Bagley, another good one.
Mark,
the Amazing Spider-Man.
That's the one I grew up on. Mark Bagley.
Ultimate Spider-Man. He's still the man, and
The best.
I love his art, the art style that he uses. I see when he switched over to Thunderbolts a year after he left Amazing, you could still see that style with him, and he makes it even better. And then he came back to Spider-Man. You think he would have rusted? No. Every post Spider-Man it's on point. And then when he took over Ultimate Spider-Man, blew my mind. One of the best titles I ever read.
Speaking of Mark Bagley, one of my all-time favorite artists, he drew New Warriors.
Yes.
Back in the 90s.
Another
where
big
they
difference.
Gathered some heroes, but Mark Bagley, art, fantastic.
Fantastic.
And he
Phenomenal.
actually got into Marvel. He did I believe it was a Marvel tryout book.
Yeah.
And he did it,
remember that.
passed it in, and they hired him on the spot. Mark Bagley. He's a great guy. I also met him at Terrificon. I got a couple of books signed from him. He did the first New Warriors on Thor for 11 for
First
12.
appearance, yeah.
Ron Friends did
Friends.
did the art.
Yes,
But,
I remember that. Back in the Thor issues.
Yeah, he actually
New Warriors showed up. I remember that.
I like Mark Bagley, man.
Yeah,
he's
Mark
he's
Bagley
great.
is phenomenal. I love Randy Emberlin who worked with him, Larry
Yes.
Mahstead. The
Met
inkers.
him also.
They
Great
work,
guys.
They work well together. And it's weird because when he took over Amazing Spider-Man, 2 artists before that was Tom McFarlane.
And
on
Eric
Amazing.
Larson.
And Eric Larson, which is another mention I gotta give him props.
Oh,
They
Eric
went.
I didn't even think of these
Eric
guys,
Larson
man.
was phenomenal. I love this work after McFarlane left.
His Venoms.
You thought as soon as McFarlane left that the art was going to drop, and it never
It
did.
didn't skip a beat.
It didn't
at
skip
all.
a beat. I actually thought it was the same artist at one point, and then found out it was Eric Larson. Then I followed his style.
They're similar, very similar, and also like the fact that Eric Larson followed McFarlane on the '90s Spider-Man run after he did with the Beast, remember?
Yes,
And then he
the
did
regular Spider-Man series.
Yes,
Right
which was
after.
really, and he did with the Deathlock and everybody.
Oh yes,
Solo
the
showed
Hulk
up.
showed up.
The Hulk
yes.
showed up. That was amazing.
Yeah, that
was really
he
good.
worked with Terry Kavanagh in one of the storylines. I remember.
Yes.
So it's just weird that as soon as McFarlane leaves, Larson's right there, and
Didn't
you
skip
don't
a
even
beat.
skip a beat. And then when he left, Bagley was there, And, he just came off of that. Like you say, he won that contest. He got into the book. And it didn't skip a beat. But it was a different art style. It was just as good as Larson and McFarlane, if not better. It was just, it stretched out for a long time. That man, I don't know how you could stay on a title for a long time. Like you said, he did Ultimate Spider-Man for almost 114, 15 issues.
Yeah, he did.
Never dropped a beat on his art style.
Not at all. And not only that, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
What was I going to say? What was I?
I bet you just hate that. Anyway, but Bagley, yes. Mark Bagley. Oh, he skipped the beat. He skipped the beat. Anyway, so I just shout out to Mark Bagley, great artist, great Spider-Man artist in general. I just put him on my list. Another one I want to give a shout out to, and unfortunately he passed away years ago, was Mike Wieringo. Mike Wieringo, it was right around the John Semper Spider-Man cartoon that came out.
He used to sign his name Ringo.
And yeah, Ringo, that's the same guy. So he jumped on the Sensational Spider-Man series. And his style, similar to the cartoon, but a lot better and more detail. And, I loved his artwork. And, I read that run for a while when he jumped in. Another good artist. And then he disappeared for a while. I didn't see him do Spider-Man for a long time. I was looking for wherever he was at. And then he showed up and he did the alternate covers during the other storyline.
Yes.
And he did the Ultimate Spider where it was the same pose as Spider-Man, and he's web shooting down. Yep. And all he did was they changed his costumes. And you had to find those alternate covers, and they were all like, you saw Spider-Man Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 209. You saw the Scarlet Spider, you saw the bag Spider-Man in the head, the 8-armed Spider-Man. It was just, and just the way he drew it, you had to get them all. And I think that was my last time I saw him draw anything Spider-Man in Marvel before he passed away. When he passed away, it was like real
it was a shock.
Heartbroken about it.
It was a shocking, yeah.
But shout out to
Ringo. Rest in peace.
He was another good Spider-Man artist, and
I know what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
Eric Larson was the first artist to draw Venom with the crazy tongue. That's all I gotta say. Do you remember?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, McFarlane drew him, but he had like a grin. Or you saw
McFarlane he looked like a grin. The tongue was inside.
What a strange segue.
Yeah.
And then Eric Larson came in. All of a sudden, you found these weird, like
really
the
big tongue that just went everywhere.
It was looked like he needed a dentist. The tongue was looked like it was whipping like a tail. And then Bagley came in and he straightened it out a little bit. Yeah. But he made them all sharper, similar to how this looked.
Hey, don't kink shame nobody just because he's got that whipping.
Give him a little Venom shout out there for Bagley, Eric Larson, and McFarlane. But all different. Every artist is different.
You could.
No, that was where that. Honorable mentions: Rick Leonardi.
Oh, Rick.
Drew Spider-Man 2099. Love his artwork there. Mike Zeck during the Craven's Last Hunt. Love that artwork there. And Stephen Butler on Web of Spider-Man, and Alex Savia. Those two guys on Web of Spider-Man were phenomenal. They kept that Spider-Man going in that series. Sal Buscema did a good job on Spectacular Spider-Man, keeping that book going.
What about Otley? Do you like Otley?
Ryan Otley recently, and Patrick Gleason. Sorry about his name. He was on Spider-Man on a short time recently, but I love his artwork, and he's been on and off on Spider-Man before John Romita came back to Spider-Man.
That's a nice shirt.
So thank you. Well, birthday present.
Nice pants.
$5.
What?
I said $5.
I don't believe until I see the receipt. But those were the artists that we liked. The writers, it's a little sporadic. It depends on what they wrote. I start with Stan Lee, the father of all Marvel, how he made Spider-Man, the origin, with great power comes great responsibility. The introduction of Gwen Stacy and everybody in the cast around him. The idea of Peter Parker being a teenager superhero.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. He made us believe it. And, he never failed at anything he did. But Spider-Man was his biggest contribution to Marvel and hands down
that was
the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I give him a shout. David Michelini, I have to give you big shout outs for all your work done. The introduction of Venom. Working with Tom McFarlane and how he made Spider-Man continue to grow. The leading to the continuation of the marriage of Mary Jane Watson and how he made us believe that Spider-Man was growing up and he was doing his real life thing and
getting more mature.
Exactly.
As time went.
Yeah, time went, so he did a pretty good job in all the series that he touched. I also got to give a shout out to Brian Michael Bendis. Enough said, Ultimate Spider-Man, the greatest series of Spider-Man's career. And that man,
too, right?
he wrote it. Mark Bagley drew it.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark Bagley worked with him on that. Bendis was a long-time Spider-Man writer on Ultimate Spider-Man, and he actually passed
years,
Stan Lee.
right?
He's passed Stan Lee's record
As writing
the Spider-Man book for that long.
There you go.
So Bendis, I met you New York Comic Con
Years ago,
probably over 10 years ago when he
wow.
was hot, and he still is. He's still hot if he needs to come back to Marvel. So
you get
that's all I can
anything
say. He got a lot of books. My book signed. Ultimate Spider-Man 1 was one of them.
Oh wow, that's awesome, dude.
Got it graded. Shh, don't tell nobody. So but I'm not selling it, so don't even ask. Anyway,
Don't get me started on graded
don't even
comics.
start it.
Don't get me started on graded comics.
Gentlemen, we actually have two things. So number one, Keith and Mrs. Redwood actually have come in to say hello to both of you.
Hey,
And
welcome. It's all good because it's all wood.
we also have a question from Beta, one of the mods on the channel. He wants to know what you both think of the new Ultimate Spider-Man comic book run.
the new series. Oh,
It's on fire.
it is. It's
It's on
interesting.
fire. It's something different.
It is different. It's not
different.
like the original Ultimate
No.
Spider-Man, Bendis, Bagley Ultimate Spider-Man. It's completely different. Based on what happened in Secret Wars, it was erased. The whole world was erased, which is kind of sad but then again, it was growing that they had to do something.
Yep.
So they erased it. Miles Morales was, and the maker, Reed Richards, was the only one from that Ultimate Universe that showed up in our world, stayed in our world for a while, and the maker ended up wanting to go back. And when he went back, I'm still just finding the information because I'm reading the trade on Ultimate Invasion, which that's the storyline that happened. But apparently he goes back and he changed a few things. And one of them, I think he changed was the heroes should not exist in that world.
Oh, wow.
So everybody's origin back of how everybody, because every universe has to have a Spider-Man, has to have a Captain America, have to have these heroes. And he made it clear that they weren't going to exist. So I don't know how he did it. I'll get back to you. I'll follow up on this. But he does something where they don't have the powers. So none of them existed. But the villains, for some reason, still do. So I'll leave it at that. But
What
now,
universe is this set in?
this is now set in it's like the same Ultimate Universe, but it's reset or rebooted, but it's completely
From the
different.
ground up.
Exactly.
Speaking of that as well, too, just for all of our comic book readers, just keep in mind, too, Ultimates #1 just dropped as well. So if you want a continuation on where the Avengers are in that world, definitely go down to your local comic book shop, go support local business.
Yes. Support your comic book shops. Trust me.
LCS, baby. LCS.
LCS. That's why we call it Comic Convo. So, just FYI, it's different. Everybody's getting their powers back, and it's gonna be just as good. I personally enjoyed it because Peter is older and he's married to Mary Jane. So, I was pro with Mary Jane. So they should have been staying married.
Gentlemen, we got one more in before we segue off to our next segment.
Okay.
Keith had just asked us. He's heard a little bit more about the Superior Spider-Man series that came back. He wants to know if the series is worth the read, in our opinions, and where to start.
I'll take it. Okay.
That's you, P-Money.
You're asking about the new series that just came out, the limited series.
He's asking about the Superior Spider-Man, the original one, where
the original-
they first switched bodies, I believe. Keith just confirmed that for us, actually.
Yes, please confirm it. But I will tell you about the first series when it first came out. I enjoyed it, and I will tell you right, because it was different. Peter, supposedly, he ended up, Dr. Octopus was dying. Apparently, he was getting conditioned where the more he was taking a beating, the more he wasn't healing correctly, and his body was starting to fail him. So, a brilliant scientist like Dr. Octavius came up with the idea of switching bodies, putting your mind engrams into a body where you could put him in a younger body and still have the mind of Dr. Octopus.
Yep.
Well, he chose Spider-Man's body, and that's where everything went to a whole new level. He ends up succeeding. Peter ends up back. He ends up first in the body of Octopus, Otto Octavius, and then he dies. And there was a couple of incidents where he had a chance to switch back, and he failed because Otto ends up not only taking control of Spider-Man's life, he ends up living Peter's life. And it's kind of, at first it was like, okay, that's crazy, you know,
really,
why
really
follow a villain?
Yeah, it was left field.
And it wasn't a typical, well, we're going to see a villain try to be a hero. It was literally, what if Peter had the confidence in, you know, going all sciencey and not even take the responsibility and ends up being Spider-Man in that term. That was what you would have gotten Octopus, the superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
that was some years ago, too.
Yeah, it was. And the crazy things that he was doing as Peter, he ends up inventing things that Peter would never had time to think about.
Nope.
He ends up
creating like an army of spiders, I believe.
The army, the robotic spiders,
Yeah.
all across. He was trying to protect the city. That was the loopiest thing about it. The great power, great responsibility of Peter Parker was in him. And it made Otto think about protecting the city. He used the responsibility the right way. So it was like a hook for me. And I got into the Superior Spider-Man, and you little by little start cheering for him. Yeah. The only time you didn't cheer for him is when you wanted Peter back, when there was a chance Peter was going to come back. But then you would wonder what's going to happen with Otto.
Yeah, even though he was a bad guy, you were like, you know what, this is different. It was like almost like a breath of fresh air into the series. I vaguely remember that cover. It's like a mash of all little things on it. I think it was a giant-sized cover. I forgot the issue.
It was 17 issues, I think it was.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So I just want to throw a curveball. Since we're talking about it, we might as well continue in with it. Yeah, exactly. So would you both say that the Superior Spider-Man series is great because Otto is now stepping into the shoes of Spider-Man? He's seeing the great powers comes with, oh my God, Jesus, great responsibility, and it's almost that he's doing it in his own misguided way.
Well, because I'll start it. Because you see, because we're so used to, okay, a bad guy shows up, Peter Parker beats him up, he goes to jail, blah, 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 and he breaks out and does the same routine over and over again. But this was something different. Like, you never actually sat down, and as you were reading it, you were going, wow, I never even thought, you know, a bad guy can kind of turn good, in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I mean, like you're right. And he was very ruthless. That was the thing I liked about the Spider-Man. Otto was ruthless to getting his result. And that's what made him different from Peter. Peter, you know, his responsibility and his guilt and doing everything the right way made him a true hero.
Yep.
Otto was like, he had no restraint, was thinking about how he's going to do a responsibility to Peter, but he wanted to do it his way. He did not care what's going to stop him. And he had two missions. A, defeat the villains. B, protect the city and the street and by any means necessary. And how it ended, you know, and then let me take that back. When you see him interact at Superior Spider-Man to like Peter Parker, Miles Morales, or any of the Spider-Man during the Spider-Verse storyline, that was Dr. Octopus. That's the Dr. Octopus we all grew up with, being the jerk he is, thinking he was superior. But when he was by himself and the whole thing was on him, he stepped up as Spider-Man. I kind of respected that, and I kind of enjoyed the series. I was kind of heartbroken when how it ended. I don't want to spoil alert this, but I will say this. He ends up returning as Dr. Octopus, the villain we all hate and love at the same time. But you look at him differently because there's that sense of what if. Like, if he didn't have this, would he still be better, just as good hero than he is a villain? And that's what, you know, that's my take on the Superior Spider-Man. I would highly recommend reading the series. Even the new limited series that just came out, I would still, because Otto is he's just fantastic to read.
Agree.
He was very fascinating. That's the word I was trying to use.
The great thing about it was something different. Because, again, you can have your good guy beat the bad guy, and then, you know, the same story over and over again. After a while, you get tired. It's like you want something new, something different. And it pulled you in. The story pulled you in, which was great. I thought it was really, really great. Very well written, very well art. The art was fantastic. And it was
written by Dan Slott, another good Spider-Man writer.
Amazing writer.
He was all over the place when he took over. Wow. Him and the artist was Ryan Stegman. His art style is awesome. Funny story, if I could bring this up real quick. I had a Superior Spider-Man 1 to be signed by... I went to New York Comic Con to get it signed by Dan Slott, who wasn't there that day. It was okay. But Ryan Stegman was there. And if you notice, if you read the series later on, Humberto Ramos jumped on a series, another good artist. He was also, I give him props.
Ramos,
he was there as well.
Sorry.
And there was 2 separate lines in the same aisle. And I jumped on one of the lines and I was looking for the book, but I had a different book for Humberto Ramos to sign. It was Spectacular Spider-Man 1 when he took over that run. And I ended up accidentally pulling out the Superior Spider-Man 1. And he ended up, good guy, he signed it for me. He wanted to make sure I picked the right book, and I didn't even look. I just said, yes, I'm a good fan. I was so busy meeting the guy that didn't look at what he was signing.
You're starstruck.
He signed it for me. I guess he looked at it, okay, I did this book later on. He signed it for me, and it was awesome. And I didn't get, by the time I got to Stegman's line, he went on a break and never came back or something. And it was okay. I knew I missed him. I got on the train coming back to Connecticut, and I looked at the book, and I realized it was missigned, and I was like, oh my God. And then I talked to my son about it, and I had this idea to get Slott and maybe Ryan Stegman to sign it too, have all 3 of them sign, and, you know, it would vindicate Ramos' signature because he was on that series. I was grateful I got his signature. I just felt stupid that I gave him the wrong book. So, you know, it's a funny story.
It happens, man.
I will be looking for you, Stegman and Slott, to get that signed as well if you're watching this.
It happens. You know, you
but
get
Ramos, give you props. You're an awesome artist, and I'm going to keep looking for you too because I got the book for you to sign.
Hey, you know what you do? You go to Home Depot, get the magic eraser, and you just make it go away, man.
But how did they do that handwriting? I don't have that.
No, you got to erase the name that's on the book.
He used it with a marker.
Erase it. Magic eraser, P.
A magic marker?
No, it's like a square. You dip it in water and you just...
Yeah, it would ruin the book. It would ruin my book. Superior Spider-Man. Very good stuff.
Green label. CGC, baby. Green label.
Green label.
It will just say writing on your book.
Game, we got something to say?
Yeah, we got a real quick one. Last request that I'm taking for this segment. Thoughts on Spider-Boy? I think this is more directed towards you, Dad.
Oh,
Spider-Boy.
Spider who? Spider-Boy?
Spider-Boy.
The new Spider-Boy.
Yes.
I read his first appearance during the end of the Spider-Verse storyline in the Spider-Man book.
You can be brutally honest. Everybody here probably doesn't like him either.
I'm still trying to wrap my head on him. I read the recent storyline after he made his first appearance in the Spider-Man book. Teenager that no one can't seem to remember. Something to do with an experiment that was done. That Spider-Man did meet him before, and obviously now he doesn't remember. Mm-hmm. As to what caused everybody to forget, I would like to know. I'm still trying to process it and get my fingers on it. Still reading on it, so I'm a little behind. But I will tell you this. His look, not bad. The blue, the light blue, you know.
Something different.
It's something different. It's a young Spider-Man.
Something fresh.
But he doesn't, just keep in mind, the fact that he doesn't have web shooters cracks me up about him.
M. Night Shyamalan plot twist is he's Tom Holland.
He could be Tom Holland without being Peter Parker. So, I mean, that's how I look at him. Do I like the character? I'm still working out because basically he's a little upset that no one seems to remember. He remembers everybody. Aunt May, people that we know they never met, he knows them. As to his real identity, I don't know. Until I find out, I'm going to reserve judgment on him, but I'm still going to read it. And I'll get back to you. As soon as I find out, you'll be the first to know. So.
I just think it's something different. Something new, something fresh. I mean, again, you got your Peter Parker, you got your Ben Reilly's, you got everybody else playing Parker, and got Miles, you got Miguel. But, you know, it's something different. Throw another book in there. Yeah. First appearance, you know.
Exactly.
It's hot. That book will remain hot, but... Like you said, they need to give him some web shooters.
I think he's good without it because it limits him. He thinks he's the sidekick of Spider-Man.
Gotcha.
If Spider-Man didn't give you a web shooter, something's up. So I mean, I'll reserve my right to see.
So you're basically saying, in probably the nicest way possible, is just remember you ain't shit, kid, until you get that shit together.
I know. Great power, great responsibility. Use it responsibly.
Get some webs.
Make your own webs, damn it. But
all right, gentlemen.
Yes. Oh, I got to give one more last shout out to J. Michael Straczynski. His run was historical as well. The September 11th issue, when he took over Amazing Spider-Man, and after that, it was really good. I don't want to go into the controversy yet about how it ended with the whole One More Day because. I enjoyed it. It just struck a nerve about the whole Mary Jane being married or not and using Mephisto. And one day Mephisto will get his, but that's a separate issue. But I thought his run was really good, really great, and I follow him wherever he goes. So
Peter David wrote some Spideys too.
yes, The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, another series that came out. Well, he also worked with Mike Waringo on that.
Peter David, one of my favorite artists. Writers.
Writers.
I met him at a con also.
Me too.
The first Terrificon that was over
in Trumbull.
Yes, I met him there.
There you
Great,
go.
and I met his daughter too. She drew a Hulk, and she was like, "Sir, you want to buy my picture?" I said, "If your dad can autograph it." She was like, "I was like, how much?" She was like, $5. I was like, "Bam!" I took the Hulk. I still have the Hulk.
Really?
Yeah, I'll pull it out. I'll bring it to the show one day.
Wow.
But Peter David autographed it. He autographed some other books, but I liked it. I really enjoyed his run on Spider-Man.
He got
One of my
he's
favorites.
he's known for the Hulk series, Incredible Hulk series, but he did really good for the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's great.
So, and that's also that led to those alternate covers for Mike Waringo because Waringo worked with him. So.
Oh, rest in peace,
There you go,
Ringo,
another one.
man.
Yep. And Terry Kavanagh, I gotta give him a quick shout because he, I've seen those those little live shows where they tagged him to being the guy who created the Clone Saga. I'm gonna give you a heads up. Him and Howard Mackie, both of you did a phenomenal job on the Clone Saga. I don't care what anybody say. Yes, it was long. It kept us guessing for years, but you know what? You introduced us to Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider / Spider-Man who replaced him for a little bit. Good character. Enough said. And no complaints about the Clone Saga. I enjoyed it. You guys did a great job. Shout out to both of you guys.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
So I guess that's going to be the controversial take of the day, which, totally fine with that. So, gentlemen, we are going to be moving on to segment 3. Tommy, I'm going to have you start this one off, actually. So it's going to be comparing the Spider-Man movies to its comic counterparts. What do you think the movies did better than the books? What did you think the books did better than the movies? Have at, my man.
All right. I got first up Spider-Man #1.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Sam Raimi's director.
Tobey Maguire. What can I say? He started basically the franchise. Did his 3 movies, and then he did the last one that came out recently with all of them. Garfield.
No Way Home.
No Way Home with Maguire and Holland. I really liked it because you saw Spidey on the big screen. I mean, you've seen the cartoons, you've seen, multiple comics, multiple appearances of Spider-Man, but to see him on the big screen was amazing. And then Tobey fit the part beautiful. I mean, he played the Peter Parker role. He played the young kid in high school. The whole origin, get bit by a Spider-Man, and Mary J was beautiful. I still think she's beautiful. She was wow.
Kristen
I
Dunst.
had a crush on her. She's wow. She was
Really?
beautiful.
You were
Yeah,
interviewing the Vampire Girl?
She what? No, she was a little.
She was
under,
little
She
one.
was a little under.
She grew up and
Yeah, I
she
waited
was
until
hot.
she got older, Pete. Then I
Yes.
said I liked her. Okay,
That's
come
fair.
on,
That's fair.
I know, but
Gotta get you in trouble out here.
P. But like I said, Tobey Maguire, I liked it. Compared to the comic, it was a little different. I mean,
Yes.
Maguire was using the webs out of his actual hands as
The web
opposed to
shooter.
Parker, going to the lab and creating, or wherever he did, he created the webbing with the cartridges. Remember, Pete? So I thought that was different. Again, something different. And I remember Marvel and DC always they knock each other because I remember when he was up on the building, he's like Shazam. He said Shazam. I'm like, oh my god. I'm sure
was
somebody's
cool.
gonna say
That was
something.
cool.
And rest in peace to Stan Lee because he was in all the movies, made the little cameo appearances.
Right. He made a good cameo on that.
Missed
Well,
that
the
guy.
web shooter idea was pretty cool because at that time, Ultimate Spider-Man, Bendis and Bagley, introduced us to that web shooter.
So he didn't have the cartridges, right?
He didn't need the cartridges. After he got bit by the spider, it
So
literally
came-
gave him the spider. So
Came
hitting
through
a
his
certain
actual
part
hand.
of his palm shot the web out of his wrist. So, it's disgusting, yes, but hear me out. It gave him the spider. Yeah, he could stick to walls. No one questioned that. He could jump really high. No one could do that, just like a spider. But no one wondered. Everybody wondered, how come getting the cartridges when you could just web shoot it out of his wrist?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is that unlimited?
It was
Remember
unlimited.
in the movies.
Oh yeah, something about, and we'll get that to Spider-Man
Yeah.
too. But there was something to do with his confidence. But you gotta ask.
He couldn't shoot.
Anybody who researched anything about regular spiders, do they
Stage
actually run out of
fright.
webbing? We don't know. But,
Yeah.
So if there is a case where you run out, then there should have been a case where Peter should have ran out. But from my knowledge, there was no way, unless he didn't believe that he could do that. Sure enough, he couldn't.
I mean, other than, seeing the Green Goblin, which was amazing on the big screen. That was it. The
William Dafoe.
Dafoe nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it from the beginning to the end. Green Goblin was amazing. I mean, other than you saw his like robotic suit, almost like he would look like a big robot. Almost, I'm just saying, compared to the comic, because we were talking about the comparison.
Comparison, yes.
Comparison to the comic, basically he had a mask, he had an outfit, a
Halloween
costume.
outfit.
And then, in the movies he's throwing pumpkins, in the comic he's throwing, grenades, pretty much.
Those grenades, those pumpkin bombs were phenomenal. That I would give to that.
Amazing. And then the movie was fantastic. I can't say nothing bad about Spider-Man #1, Tobey Maguire, but the other movies, I got a problem.
Well, I'll piggyback on you on this. The origin that they told in that movie, compared to the origin that was told in the book, almost identical. One was just more updated than the other. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Just keep in mind, you're never gonna get a full version of the actual comic to the big screen because times are different, things are different, everything changes. It's just you'll never get it. I mean, as much as we want, like to have the director sit down and actually read a comic and go, "Hey, I'm gonna make a movie look just like this." That. You're never gonna get it.
And as a fanboy, when I first saw it, that origin, it was passable. We knew it was going to be different. It was passable. You look back 20 years later, oh shit, it was just the same way. So I can't really knock the origin how they did it.
It wasn't bad.
It was perfect. It was comparison.
Wasn't bad at all.
Hollywood got it right.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The web shooter, I adapted because it was already in the book, so I was okay with it. The Green Goblin costume we have a little difference here.
This is all right. Did you like it or you didn't like it?
I didn't like it when I first saw it because the mask, it looked like a statue put over his head. It did not look like a mask. Like in the movie, the cartoon, the comic, in the cartoons, it was rubbery. It just, as soon as you put it on it, you could see his eyes, but it was also menacing the way it looked in the comic. In the movie, the look of it looked menacing. I'll give it that. But it looked like it would put it on his head. He could knock himself unconscious because it looked like it was metal. The suit itself, I had a bigger problem because it looked like a Power Ranger back then. Now, I look back at it now, that's the only thing has not changed. He looked like Morphin Time. Those pumpkin bombs.
What time is it? It's Morphin Time.
Exactly. Then he puts his mask on and clunk and knock himself out. And the pumpkin bombs and the glider were phenomenal. I love those things. Move with the thing?
He's like...
Well, yeah. It was old style. But it was better it was better because how it was rendition and how he could move in it. Like the special effects, how he moved it looked real. When he was close up, he looked like he couldn't control it. But
I thought all in all, it was really good. Like I said, times are different. You're not ever going to get from the comic. As much as comic book guys that we like and we love, the as much as a fan as that we are, you're never going to get to what it is in the comic.
But I will say this. William Dafoe as Norman Osborn and his portrayal of the Green Goblin.
Crazy.
Let's take away the costume for a second.
Crazy.
He had it spot on. He made, how we say Michael Keaton's Batman? William Dafoe's the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn. Hands down. The costume when he showed up, and we'll get back into this, in No Way Home, they tweaked it up a bit. It looked a whole lot better than the first movie. It made me believe that he is the Green. And I don't care, he's 70 years old. Keep being Norman Osborn, son. You got this.
He's that Michael Keaton. Damn you, Flash movie.
We'll get to Michael Keaton in a minute.
Hell. That's my Batman. Why did you do that?
But the fact that they didn't introduce Gwen Stacy, I was a little peeved about. Granted, you love Mary Jane, and I, loved her too.
She nailed it though.
She nailed it but it would have been interesting to give him that love triangle situation like they did in the book with Gwen Stacy. They introduced her later on, which we'll get into that later on, but if they would have introduced her into this one and made people guess who he's going to end up with, that would have attracted a lot of female, fans. But we never got that. It was more focused about the origin, which was fine. I was okay with it. Mary Jane, the actress, Kristen Dunst did a great job. Aunt May made us believe she was old and was a good Aunt May.
Oh, that's right. It's crazy.
And how it ended it with the glider impaled was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
So I felt that as well.
That was pretty close to the comics. So.
It was. It was. So which was better? I would still say the comic was better because emotionally with Gwen Stacy's death, no one died in this movie. Well, Mary Jane was still alive. So the fact how he impaled himself trying to be sneaky, and you see how William Dafoe carried himself, made you say it wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. So both deaths were good, but I still stick to the comic.
Yeah, and fun movie fact. All the kissing scenes with MJ were me.
you were the one
That was
hanging
me
upside
hanging
down.
upside
You're like,
down and
give me some tongue.
It was me.
It was
me.
you. Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire. I thought that was good. It was a great sequel. Personally, I thought that was the best of the three. Tommy would probably disagree.
No, I 11
think,
out of 10.
Adam, what's his name? Molina?
Doc Ock.
Who played Doc Ock? It was Molina.
It was a white guy.
Alfred
Molina. Sorry about that.
It was a white guy.
His rendition of Doc Ock was really cool.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
It helped me use that to read Superior Spider-Man, so that might help you, everybody else, if that helps. A hero who turned villain. I mean, that's the way I could describe Ock in this movie. And, there was something good in him. Peter saw it in the movie. I like that whole train sequence. Blew my mind. That's Spider-Man. That's Doc Ock.
That was amazing.
That's just like a comic book scene.
That was sick.
So to me, that's what held that movie up as well. Plus every battle they had in the bank, by the bank and everything, and at the end.
Like I said, that actor nailed that part, man. He nailed it.
And everybody who came back.
It's really close to the comic.
To the comic. Agreed.
I thought it was close.
The whole the web shooting thing might have been my only pet peeve because, like you said, does he run out of webbing? We don't know. The fact that he lost confidence and made him hang up the suit in the garbage can,
remember?
that seemed very iconic in the book.
That was crazy.
That's what made me it made me forget about the whole web shooter thing. So.
That was pretty close.
And the fact
pretty
that
accurate.
Yeah.
And
then he was losing his powers and went back to his little glasses and I loved it and how it ended and Doc Ock dying. It was kind of sad, but it was good. And then Mary Jane, it was one of the movies where you couldn't see where she was going with Peter, because she wanted that relationship with him, and Peter was being Spider-Man, trying to keep her distant. You kind of felt for that until she found out he was Spider-Man. That was when it was really cool after that. And I thought that was like the Empire Strikes Back of the Spider-Man trilogy of that one.
I'll just say, just to jump back to one. Rest in peace, Randy Savage. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we should have brought that up.
He was Bonesaw.
Bonesaw.
And it was very accurate to the comic. I mean, they did what they did, but like I said, closely wise from the comic to the big screen, Bonesaw, man, he nailed it, man.
Better than the comic version. That in the whole movie was better than the comic version. The comic version, you see Spider-Man trying to learn to be Spider-Man. This one, you put yourself in Peter's shoes, trying to make money, try to use his power irresponsibly. And Bonesaw McGraw, Macho Man Randy Savage, snap into a Slim Jim. He did phenomenal in that, and
he nailed it, man.
I gotta give him props on that.
Rest in peace, man.
That was a good scene.
I forgot about that.
We didn't bring that up, but back to 2.
Yep.
I thought it was the Empire Strikes Back of Spider-Man. So.
It was amazing. It was great.
And then now we're gonna go to our nitpicking with Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3. I can start it and then throw you the
please.
Pitch. I will start it and I will throw you the ball. All right. Spider-Man 3. One too many villains. Like, why would you have so many villains? Comic book wise, I thought it was all right. Comparison wise, but 3 had just too many. And then the guy that played Venom, that 70 show guy.
What was his name? Topher Grace.
Oh, I mean.
Loved him that 70 show, but Venom was not.
Not for nothing. He was a decent actor, but for me, he just did not fit the role. Whether looking wise, like I was telling my co-host here off camera, if you would have just went to the gym and got like some big jack dude and be like, listen, just jump around, you're this character, we're gonna animate like everything on top of you so you can look like Eddie Brock. But I mean, this guy didn't even hit the gym because the ASM books that
he tried to look like Peter. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah,
he tried to look like Tobey Maguire in that movie. I didn't get that.
And then you threw in Sandman, which was fine.
I thought he was a good choice, but they used him wrong.
But I mean, if you were gonna do a 3, focus on just one character. If it was the Venom storyline, Stay with Venom. Do Eddie Brock. Do it from the ground up. Do how you introed him. Like you said, he was in church, depressed. The suit jumped
Yeah,
on him.
that could have been its own separate movie. It could have been Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, or even. I just thought 3 was a train wreck, in my opinion.
It was.
Again, we're all entitled to our own opinion. We like what we like. But the black suit jumped on Spider-Man, and then the whole storyline, I think they should have did some chunk, and a lot of people out there would agree, you would probably agree, they should have did something with Secret Wars number 8 that introed the first black suit. Even if they had a flashback, because in the comics they showed, Spider-Man with the black suit, his suit got damaged in the battle between the good guys and bad guys, and the alien symbiote went on to him. They should have did a little something about that, and then ran with the Eddie Brock, and just stayed on one character, because I just thought it was overload of bad guys. If you're gonna do Sandman, stay on Sandman. Was there more bad guys in there, right?
There was Sandman. There was Venom. There was Gwen Stacy, which they finally introduced.
Gwen Stacy was the villain all along.
I'm not gonna say she was a villain. The actress who played her, she did a decent job at the
She was a
time.
villain.
But I think they used her wrong. First of all, to hook her up with Eddie Brock, and she wasn't even denying or admitting that they were together or not. He was trying to impress her. That was his motivation as a cameraman or photographer.
That was.
And you didn't even touch the three-way complication between Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, and Peter Parker until she was saved by Spider-Man. And all of a sudden, Mary Jane's jealous when they see them together and kissing upside down. And but if I'm staying corrected, wasn't she supposed to be engaged in Spider-Man 2 to J. Jonah Jameson's son?
I think so. Yeah, you're right.
Wow, these women. I mean, no offense to the women.
Oh, they get around.
You get mad at the men when they kiss somebody upside down at playing somebody else, and here you are getting jealous for that. But I don't think did Peter get jealous or did make a scene with Mary Jane? No,
I don't think so.
He took his heartbreak and he walked away from it, and he was losing his powers at the same time.
She'd have the Green Goblin come back and drop her,
knock her off the bridge. No offense to Mary Jane,
but catch her and then unalive her.
But Gwen Stacy in that movie clearly wasn't into Peter.
Nope.
But Mary Jane was still being jealous and was acting a little stupid, getting mad at him because her job wasn't doing too well. Peter didn't know anything about what she was going through. He would have found out, but of course he's Spider-Man, which, by the way, she didn't know. And, how did he's going to find time to find out what she was going through? Communication. That's the key. Anyway, so...
Thought there was too many villains.
There was just too many villains. Sandman was set up good in the beginning. Like, you started to develop his character. You start understanding what he was going through. He was going to be the big baddie. Then they threw Eddie Brock, and he just didn't fit.
It just didn't.
The symbiote coming down to Earth the way it did was okay, but it did not do anything. And when he became Venom, come on, guys, special effects, you could do better.
Yeah, I mean, he was like Venom on crack. He was like crack.
And then you had a Venom Sandman team up that just ended with
he's on the pipe. Venom.
Harry dying. Which, by the way, I liked his transition to a villain.
Yeah.
I just want to. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we're having technical difficulties. Great.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, technical difficulties. So I'll just continue until we get back.
2 words for you.
So Harry, he dies in the end. I liked how he, led to this point. I think they dropped a little bit of the bomb with the costume being the Goblin Jr. and that little ugly mask.
Till we get it. Oh, shit.
Are we still out?
Hang on. No, you guys are good. You guys
you keep going. So I did not like the costume he was wearing.
Oh, that was...
He looked like a Power Ranger with a ninja mask. So they didn't know what to do with him. The glider I did like better. It was a big improvement from the other glider.
Really nice.
But the fight ended up, him having him bump his head, having amnesia. Okay, that was pretty cool. And then all of a sudden when he remembered, they had that big fight with Spider-Man with the symbiote costume on him. Yep. And his face is all messed up. And then all of a sudden he forgives him and helps him fight Sandman. Something was wrong in that third act.
It was off.
And I think it started from there. And in the end, it just did not help the cause. And then plus the biggest meme of them all in that movie was the spider dance, Peter dance.
Oh,
when he was dancing. Everybody hates that.
Whew.
I couldn't. I mean, now you look at it fondly because he was brave enough to do that. But, back then, you just had to stop it. So then they rebooted it Sony decided they didn't want to give up Spider-Man, so they made Amazing Spider-Man 1, done by Mark Webb, and it starred Andrew Garfield. And Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man completely different from Tobey Maguire. They rebooted Spider-Man. They gave him more of a hip origin, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't my take. Even Ultimate Spider-Man's origin, what they say was similar, to me was a different feel. It just felt like a grungy version of Peter Parker getting bit by the spider. Yep. Same thing. He didn't want to listen to his uncle. He did something irresponsibly at a corner store, not the wrestling ring where Macho Man Randy Savage could have given him a beating too. Uncle Ben gets shot just going after him after he runs away from him in the house. He gets mugged and killed and everything. And shout out to Martin Sheen, who did a pretty good job as Uncle Ben. We had a little bit younger, but still old Aunt May.
Yep. They get younger as the movies progress.
I noticed that. This time it was Gidget. What's her name? I forgot her name. Yeah. She played Aunt May. If soon we find out, we'll let you know.
Field?
Sally Field. Thank you. Sally Field. She was brave for doing it. And then Andrew Garfield became Spider-Man. At least the costume started off a little rough. The goggles a little different. But I think by the time we got to 2, it was more accurate. The only thing I did like was Emma. She played Gwen Stacy. Her rendition of Gwen Stacy,
Emma
Stone, was spot on to the Gwen Stacy we knew growing up.
She nailed it.
Died. She nailed it. If they could bring her back as Gwen Stacy of Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, you might have and she acts differently, you might have a good case.
She nailed it.
But she nailed it as the original Gwen Stacy, and I think that's what carried the movie.
I didn't realize that was her in the movie.
Yeah, and you see the complication of their relationship. And I thought it worked well, and I think that's when you start remembering why he fell in love with Gwen Stacy in the book, anywhere.
You're on ASM 2, right? You're on ASM 2?
Amazing Spider-Man, yeah.
Okay.
So, Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Oh, 1, okay.
So, we also got to meet the Lizard.
Yes, Doc Ock. I'm sorry.
The Lizard.
No, I'm sorry. The name.
Connors.
Kirk Connors.
Yeah, there we go. Hey.
It's a wrong movie.
There we go. Doc Ock. He's like, what? I threw them all off. You're like,
I was like, wait a minute.
what a curveball.
It's like, when was he in that movie? What movie was I watching?
Doc Connors, the Lizard, who he was a scientist
with
one arm.
One arm, and
he used to inject
lizard
DNA into his arm to grow another arm, and he eventually took over his whole body. I thought it was pretty good.
He was pretty good. The actor,
accurate.
if I could get his name, I mean, the only thing I remember him was in the Replacement movie when he was the kicker. Good actor, and he did pretty good as Kirk Connors.
He nailed the part. Lizard was cool.
He was, and then the special effects made him look like a lizard. I was a little questionable at first when I first saw him.
They made him jacked too, man. He was huge.
But the way he was talking as the lizard, okay, I could forget how he looked. He stayed the character as the lizard. It was phenomenal how it ended. It was a decent movie for a rebate. I thought it was going to get better as the movies went on. I didn't think he was better at the time as Tobey Maguire, and I still say that. But I don't.
Tony's the OG.
I don't doubt his acting as
Dylan
Peter
Baker
Parker.
was
Dylan Baker was the first. He was the first lizard.
Yes.
Lizard, yeah.
The second lizard is the one we're trying to find out.
Oh, I don't know.
Amazing Spider-Man. As soon as we find out, we'll get it back to you. We got one lizard. But he never became.
We got one lizard. We're good.
We're working on the other one.
We're good.
So he wasn't bad. He wasn't good either. And I just say, but he had a future, and he still showed up in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which we're at right now. The villain was Electro with Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is the man.
He nailed it. Friend of the show.
He struggled playing his character Max Dillon in the beginning of that movie, but then as he got confidence as Electro, that's why I started liking him as Electro.
He was awesome.
He was good. I mean, it kept Spider-Man on his toes in that movie. He needed a lot of help. He had Gwen Stacy helping him.
He's a good bad guy.
As a villain and special effects, I thought it was phenomenal. The fight scenes and how he was taking over the city and everything like that.
I don't think he was really necessarily a bad guy. He was more misunderstood.
Misunderstood. Like most of the villains.
And he wanted to be a part of something. Remember?
Yes.
Like
he was just a loser that wanted to be somebody, and he became somebody. Just unfortunately, the direction of being you're not responsible. Again, great power comes great responsibility. And he didn't be responsible as an Electro, so he ended up fighting Spider-Man.
I just got one thing.
And then there was
Oh,
another
go ahead.
case. I'm sorry, another case of one too many villains in that movie. Elektra did good in that movie.
Yes.
The fact that they introduced Harry late into the movie, a different actor, and I don't even want to know who he was. No offense.
Did you
but
like his outfit though?
I didn't. You talk about the suit?
Yeah.
No.
Power Rangers again?
No, worse than the Power Rangers. He made William
The
Dafoe
low
look
budget
good
Power
in that.
Rangers?
Dude, he had.
They're the ones from the
He
flea
had.
market. Just
I'm gonna
called,
start. All I remember from that look
they're
was
the ones
his
from the flea
dentistry.
market just called Rangers.
Dude, he looked like he got that outfit from the flea market.
Oh.
And we're not talking about the good one. We're talking about
The jacked up
the
one.
jacked up one. Like somebody said he picked an outfit and he just grabbed the whatever looked like it didn't match and it was ripped with holes. He
You
was
don't
more
like it?
focused about his hair,
So
which
take it you didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all.
Alright, I
Green
gotcha.
that Green Goblin. I'm not even gonna call him Green Goblin. That Goblin
Yeah,
character he was trying to play.
was bad.
The fact that he was dying from a rare disease.
Yep.
Took some kind of serum and it made him look worse. And
made
then
him
he's
look
the
like-
cause that killed Gwen Stacy.
It made him look like Golem from Lord
That's
of the
who I
Rings.
was thinking about.
Gollum,
He
my
was
precious.
like Gollum. Thank you.
He's like Spider-Man, my precious.
Where's my glider, my precious?
Give me my pumpkins. I will throw pumpkins at
There's Gwen Stacy. I know you're Peter Parker.
you. Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry.
he was a good actor, but
Who?
no, I'm saying the green, not as Green Goblin,
Oh,
but as
before,
like, yeah,
what led
as
to it?
like a regular actor, I thought he was good.
when they introduced him.
But when he actually became the Goblin, I thought it was really bad. I mean, like, what the hell they were thinking? And then I got another gripe about this movie. Do you remember that one scene? Of course, you remember, where it showed every villain, like, pretty much the Sinister Six. Remember,
Yes.
it had Doc Ock's arms, and it had the Rhino, and it had, who else did it have? It had Electro, remember? It had, like, it showed all of them.
It was Electro, the Goblin.
Craven,
Rhino was in this.
Rhino, yeah.
Yeah, he was that guy who just won the Academy Award or
The
Oscar.
little
One
chubby
of the
dude.
awards.
He was a chubby ballhead guy.
He was in Connecticut too. He loved Pepe's Pizza.
Yeah, I remember
But
that.
he was the Rhino, and I thought it was the lowest part of his career because he's playing a villain that used special effects, and you only saw this part of his body, and then
Yeah,
he didn't even do anything in this movie. But
you saw him for like 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and his best scene was at the end before they cut off where Spider-Man's about to kick his ass.
Oh man,
One too many villains.
one too many villains. Like again, if you're gonna focus on something, focus on something. If it's Electro, okay, stay Electro. Have a villain pop up, or like towards the end, or have him cameo so you could set up the next movie. And I was really mad that they never made a ASM 3 because they did the Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
Apparently, based on what I've heard,
Yep.
Sony had the rights to Spider-Man at this time. The Marvel's deal years ago,
Yep.
back when even the first Spider-Man came out.
Yep.
And they were still, I'm not going to say they were greedy. I don't want to say it like that. But if you had the rights to Spider-Man, you're making millions of dollars. And this was before Marvel became Marvel Studios. Once Marvel Studios came out, and then they reached out to Sony to make negotiations to see if Spider-Man could be integrated into the Marvel universe, their universe. And Sony decided, hey, as long as they're going to get paid, they get control and everything, they didn't want to do it. And I think, what's the actor? Andrew Garfield was pro this. And Sony didn't like it. They let him go as Spider-Man, and they decide they're going to reboot it again. They're not going to do it. And I think it was a short amount of time. I think it was like a year or two. They weren't going to make another Spider-Man. They were going to wait a couple years and then going to reboot him again.
How was your feelings on Andrew Garfield as being Parker? I thought he nailed the part.
He was okay.
thought
I
he
think by the
nailed it.
second movie, he nailed it.
Yeah.
But in the first movie, it was kind of hard because this is a different Peter Parker that I was used to. So it took a while. By the time the second one came out, the costume was fixed. He had Gwen Stacy. We didn't get to see Mary Jane, which was okay. I was like, okay, he's pulling it off.
Yep.
And if they would make a third one, or if they decided Sony would have struck the deal and he would have gone over to help Marvel, I would have been okay with it because he was carrying Peter Parker on his shoulder and he was actually doing pretty good.
And I wouldn't have not been mad if they would did an ASM 3 with Garfield and have the actual Sinister Six. Have Craven show up, have him pop up on a building or something like, oh, okay, I'm going to hunt you or something. You know what I'm saying?
The problem with that, and you could look back in all Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 at the end, when they, some mystery figure was talking to the lizard, threatening Peter's life, and then the second one with the Rhino, they wanted to do a Sinister Six movie separate from Spider-Man. You know how they have Venom? They were going to do a whole Sinister Six movie. And they were going to cash it
Was
because
Spider-Man been in it, or at least cameoed, maybe?
maybe cameo or maybe not at all.
As Parker?
Like, if you remember Venom movies,
Yeah.
Spider-Man wasn't in it. They were going to do the same thing as Sinister Six. And I'll tell you why. The rights, when they owned the right to Spider-Man, anything that was in the Spider-Man universe, the villains, the heroes, anything that was created to Spider-Man, they had the rights to.
Correct.
Marvel Studios at the time could not touch it because they sold it to them.
Yeah.
Now, Sony would love to cash in what Marvel's doing with Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Avengers.
You mean the mouse?
At that time.
The big mouse.
Well, this was before Mickey Mouse bought them.
The big mouse?
Yeah. The mouse ended up buying them in the end.
Yeah. Mouse buys everything.
Thank God with Disney. So anyway, so Sony wanted to make that much money, but they didn't have other superheroes, just Spider-Man. He's the only big one over in Marvel. They have a lot of B-list heroes that became A-list just by making the movie. So they wanted to do the same thing and looked at what they had. Black Cat maybe, Morbius, Venom. Venom was the only successful they got. Once that succeeded, they were saying, we don't need to do all these Marvel movies. We could just take what we have and do it.
And make it work.
And they had a plan. They had a plan down.
You think they would have nailed it with
and
Sinister
lucky they
6?
kept canceling it, huh?
You think they would have nailed it with Sinister 6? No?
Because
Not even in your opinion?
no, it would.
Okay, let me ask you this: if they would have made an ASM 3 with Garfield and Gwen
because
and
the original
everybody,
plan was the guy who played the Lizard,
yeah,
the guy who played Rhino,
yeah,
Electro, which
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx would have done it no problem, and they would probably
Craven.
reboot Dr. Octopus, a different actor, and
They
maybe Craven.
They probably
maybe
could have
Craven.
paid him to come in.
They could have, but I think at the time he was getting old and he wasn't gonna he would have done it, or maybe with Sam Raimi. I don't know
Well,
what
you
was
saw
his
what
deal.
he did with the new Spider-Man. He nailed it.
He came back.
Yeah,
I know. I was very surprised.
No, I'm just saying he could have probably pulled it off.
And he probably
that was
could
a few
have.
years back too.
But
when,
the problem was to
ASM2
do these
dropped.
villains as the main characters. Who are they going to be heroes? No, they're villains.
They're all villains.
You can't do it without Spider-Man.
Oh,
Exactly.
No, need that. Speaking of Sinister Six, could have had Hobgoblin in there.
They could have did anything.
No, I'm saying, how sick would that would have been?
The Hobgoblin probably have been that Harry Osborn that showed up in Amazing Spider-Man.
That would have been sick.
But they ended up icing it, and then they ended up making the deal with Sony.
Yep.
Sony had an idea on Marvel. Marvel ideas were they're going to integrate Spider-Man into the Marvel universe, make him show up in Captain America: Civil War, what they did. They rebooted
They
it.
nailed it.
They basically said, we still have the rights to Spider-Man. You could use them. You could cast them and everything. And we'll get a certain percentage of the money. So when they introduced them into Captain America, they didn't get money. They didn't get paid on that. It was going to Captain America: Civil War. It led to Homecoming.
One of my favorite
Sony and
movies,
Marvel worked together for that.
Civil War, one of my favorite.
The character was cast, Tom Holland, the third Spider-Man, and Sony had their fingerprints on it, but it was all written, like Marvel did all the work. Sony got most of them paycheck, which kind of pissed everybody off. And we almost didn't have No Way Home because Sony was ready to like back away from Marvel. They want to like keep cashing in, make a Sinister Six movie, integrate Tom Holland into it. So it was a mess. Sony almost ruined No Way Home for us. They ended up caving in when they said, "Okay, we'll bring some of the Sony universe into our universe." Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Dr. Octopus, Green Norman Osborn, all those actors back, and they okayed it. But they still wanted it to have feature Venom, which they did, which was awesome. They still wanted to feature them to find a way to make the Sinister Six. Now, if you notice in this movie, 5 of the Sinister Six are in this movie. But the only thing is they're all in different universes.
Yeah.
But they're all together in the Marvel universe for this movie, No Way Home. And I thought that was brilliant. That was awesome. It was the best Spider-Man movie. You even got to see 3 different Spider-Mans. I know we skipped a lot of the Spider-Man movies.
No, I got you.
But I have to say, it was the best. It beat out Spider-Man 2. It beat out Spider-Man 1. It was the best movie. No Way Home.
No Way Home.
And it was because of that reason.
I agree with you.
And now we're still we're still in that same boat now because after that movie, Sony still wants to do what they want to do. And I will get back to you later as to what pisses me off about Sony. I'll leave it at that.
Speaking of, I'm sorry.
Speaking
of No Way Home, Michael Keaton nailed it. Hands off, clap.
Homecoming. Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming. Michael Keaton. Batman came to the Marvel Universe and he portrayed a good vulture, a great vulture.
Nailed it. I thought the part that he played was amazing as the regular actor, and even the guy in the suit, amazing.
Yes.
And fun fact, I'm sure everyone knows, before he actually, when he put the suit on to the Vulture, he used to say under his breath, I'm Batman, I'm Batman, I'm Batman.
Oh, wrong universe.
He nailed it, but he still nailed it though. I mean, thank you for coming over to the MCU. We really appreciate you. One of the greatest actors of our time.
Hands down. Hands down. Agree.
Still my favorite Batman, or one of my favorite Batman.
And I liked how they introduced his the daughter, Liz Allen.
Yes. How
they made him his daughter in the book. In the book, he wasn't related, but in the movie, how they introduced Liz, it was another love interest for Peter.
Yep.
And it was actually pretty good the way they portrayed it. You also had Mary Jane, which we didn't find out till at the end of the movie. She's Mary Jane. But it's okay. I let that pass. But no Gwen Stacy. I was a little upset about that. But it was good to see Liz Allen in the movie, and then find out she's related to the Vulture, and how you had that,
that little twist.
Your potential father-in-law is the villain, your biggest villain.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. So it was really good. Tom Holland was he nailed it. Even at Civil War, he was awesome. He nailed it.
Other than Civil War, this was him just owning the role.
Owning the role. And he owned it. He nailed it. I'm grateful he is Spider-Man.
And he looked the part, too.
And it also caused the debate on which one was the best Spider-Man of the three. And Tom Holland, I mean, it's a big shoe to pass Tobey Maguire. But he's up there. And, no disrespect to Andrew Garfield. He was good. But Tobey, I think he passed him. And Tobey Maguire is right there with Tom
almost
Holland.
Like neck to neck.
Yes.
Like neck to neck.
But the fact that he's still Spider-Man, I hope he's in for the next Spider-Man movie, hands down.
I hope he's there until he gets really old.
Exactly. We got old man Spider-Man.
So, gentlemen, just for sake of time, because we are actually over our time limit.
What?
And with the technical difficulties on the computer right now, I just want to make sure, we complete the episode. So, I'm going to give both of you guys, just in a few words, what would you guys like to see from the character in the future in any kind of media, games, movies, more comic book runs, things you guys don't want to see. Tell us what you guys are thinking.
I'll start it up. I wish Marvel would do something with actual Secret Wars, not the one that's coming out, the Avengers Secret Wars. I mean, something to do with the Beyonder. And I want them, because I know they're probably going to go more towards cosmic. And there was even a cosmic Spider-Man too. You remember that, Pete?
Yes.
Where Spider-Man got the actual Captain Universe.
Captain Universe.
Which was amazing. And he got it. He even fought the Hawk, punched him into outer space in the ASM. I don't know if you remember with Tom McFarlane.
Yes.
The last issue. I think it was Acts of Vengeance or something.
Acts of Vengeance, yeah.
Cosmic Spider-Man. And then I'd like to see something like that. And even something to do with the black suit Spidey. Like, why can't you just have him run around as just the black suit? You know what I mean? Not the symbiote. Not the symbiote.
Just change the costume.
To put on the costume.
Well, the closest we got was Spider Monkey.
Back in black.
Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey.
Oh. That was a black. Not for nothing. Yeah. Spider Monkey was a black costume Spider-Man.
It almost looked towards like a Noir, black Noir.
Yeah, it was similar to Noir, but it is considered a black costume. It was black and it was a costume. It wasn't alive like the Venom symbiote. But
and speaking of Noir, we forgot real quickly on the Spider-Verse movies. With Miles, amazing. The first one, the anime, blew me away. Second one also blew me away. Those are great. I'd like to see a live action now. Because, I mean, we've seen the animated part. Give us a live action Miles. Find a character that suits it.
Not going to be easy. Sony still has that right.
But you could. It's still Marvel. Regardless,
Marvel can't make it without.
No,
Sony's
but it's
approval.
still Spider-Man. Still Spider-Man. You can get the writers.
I mean, I believe for Miles Morales. Shout out to Miles Morales. There's always room for more than one Spider-Man, and as we're finding out across the Spider-Verse, there's infinite amount of Spider-Man. So it's good to know whether it's different race, different costume look, different way they portray Spider-Man. It's good to know there's all types of Spider-Man. Anybody can feel like they're Spider-Man. Shout out to that movie, Across the Spider-Verse. For the Spider-Verse, even in the book, they did the same thing. So shout out to them.
And I mean, I guess you could never have enough Spider-Man.
Yeah, you can't.
You can.
Two Spider-Man better than one, right?
And on that note, like I said, I'd like to see them do like what if. I know they did the cartoons, the anime, Marvel anime, which is great and all.
Yes.
But I'd like to see them focus on Spider-Man, like specific Spider-Man, like for example, the what if the black costume possessed Spider-Man, or like because there's so many stories of Spider-Man.
Not like Spider-Man 3.
Like for example, the Last Hunt, Kraven that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
What if Spider-Man beat Kraven and buried Kraven in the ground? You know what I mean? Like some kind of a twist. Stories that we know and love, just whether it be Maximum Carnage or any of that. Like, I like to see more of that on the big screen, or even a series. You could do like a series of What If, all Spider-Man.
Well, Venom 2 did something like that with Carnage.
Yep.
Well, here's my hot take.
Oh, you got
I'm not going to hold back, guys, so hear me out.
Hold back.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier, but now I'm going to take it a step further.
Clone Saga?
The Clone Saga. No, I love the Clone Saga. No, this is about what's going on in the movie universe, what we want to see and what we're going to see. I recently saw the movie Madam Web in the movie theater.
Wow.
And not only do I want my money back, I want Sony to do me a favor.
Did you get free tickets for that, Pete?
No, I paid it on opening night.
God. Oh my god!
Because I'm a Spider-Man fan, and I was like, okay, anytime Spider-Man. I saw Venom. It wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty good. The sequel was, it was okay. It was good.
That was 50 Shades
I saw
of Spider-Man.
Morbius, and let me tell you, as much as everybody hates on Morbius,
50
to me it
Shades
was
of
okay.
Spider-Man.
It was okay. It wasn't bad. It was okay. I wish Spider-Man was in it. I wish he would have fought Morbius, but I'm okay with the fact that the idea of how Michael Morbius became was fine. Then I'm hearing that they're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie with the guy who used to play Quicksilver in Kick-Ass. And I'm going to reserve that one, but I'm not excited to see that movie.
Sony, right?
Yes, all Sony. This is all Sony trying to build the Sinister Six movie. But I'm going to get back to Madam Web. I saw Madam Web, and to me, that was the worst movie I've ever seen.
It was tough to
I
sit
don't
through.
blame this on the actresses.
Yeah.
I blame Sony directly. This has nothing to do with the director. This has nothing to do with the special effects people. Nothing to do with any actresses. This has to do with what Sony's trying to do with what they do with the property of Spider-Man. Now, they did good when everybody was desperate back in 2000 with Spider-Man 1. But we have turned the page ever since Marvel Studios came out. You guys, I give you tools for at least working with them to bring Spider-Man into the MCU.
Yeah.
But now my problem is what you're doing with the rest of the Spider-Verse, that you're dropping the ball everywhere except for the Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales. That you're doing fine. Animated, you can never go wrong. Ask DC. They can't do lick with any of their movies, but they're doing really great with their animations.
They're killing it.
You guys are doing the same thing with the animation, but their movies need to stop.
Yeah.
If I was you guys, I would continue to reach out to Marvel Studios and allow them to integrate those characters back into the Marvel Universe. Or even worse, sell your stock back to Disney.
Yep.
Ask permission to keep the cartoon world of Spider-Man in your grasp and make these animated movies. But that right needs to revert back to Marvel.
Yeah, because it's
everybody
horrible.
in this world, in this room, in the internet, everybody wants to see a legit Spider-Man movie continue. Tom Holland and Spider-Man in the MCU where he could cross over with the Avengers, have their villains show up, have Black Cat show up, without control by Sony trying to get their fingers so they could get cashed out on this.
I think that's
you want to cash out Spider-Man to Disney.
I think that's what the next Spider-Man movie. I hear a lot of buzz about. Maybe Black Cat's gonna pop up.
They're saying that, but it's all pending on approval on Sony.
It would be
Sony
nice. It would be really nice.
It would,
but
up. Sony has this, and I'm telling you right now, what you guys did with Madam Web, it says it's a poor example and poor precedence.
It was horrible.
To your next movie, Kraven the Hunter, or anything else you have in mind.
It was horrible.
Even if you're planning doing a Sinister Six movie, you lost me on this.
Hydrate.
Hydrate.
Yep. You could thank Jumpster for that one. I think that's your
Jumpster?
Jumpster.
We need a doobie.
Doobie.
Doobie energy drink.
Doobie. Get your doobie on. Yeah, I just
there you go. I'm sorry.
watched Madam Web and it was the worst. I could never get that time back in my life. It hurt. I cried because the movie was so bad. It was just very bad. Everything, writing. The actors were not too bad. Of course, they're there to do what they're paid for. But
it didn't.
Storyline, I thought it was horrible. Everything about it was a dumpster fire. That's my opinion, and I'm gonna stick with it. It was really bad. And there's so much more you could have done, or even do. It was just bad. It was just really bad.
I'm sorry, guys. Real quick, we had another fun house party game. So, Metal Man has redeemed a random history fact, and just for the sake of the podcast, we're gonna make it a random Spider-Man fact. So, someone give me something.
A rare Spider-Man fact?
Yeah.
Rare Spider-Man fact.
Let me see.
Just completely random. Whatever you guys think.
Something with Spider-Man, right?
Yep.
You want to go first?
No, you can take it. It's going to take me a second.
I got to really think about this. Did you know, in the book, Aunt May married J. Jonah Jameson's father? Food for thought on that one. Let that sit in your mind, how the hell that happened.
That's gross.
Sad part, I think he died. She had bad luck with men.
That makes it slightly
There's
better.
your fun fact, Spider-Man fact. Take that to the bank.
I think I wrote something down. Give me 1 second.
FK Blight said, wow, I never knew that.
I know. Try to unthink that. Let's get that to point. You have a fun fact about Spider-Man?
I'm thinking.
Oh, he's thinking. I could give you another one.
Oh, here's another fun fact. Spider-Man suits. I know we didn't get a chance to jump on it, but what was it, P? The Future Foundation, Fantastic Four. Spider-Man used to wear a black and white suit. Fun fact, it's self-cleaning. So you'll never have to take it to the cleaners.
He got pit stain, and it's white. You know, guys, when we wear white shirts, women, if you wear a white dress, it's easy to get dirty. When Spider-Man did it and it got dirty, it got cleaned right there on the spot.
How
the
amazing
Fantastic
is that?
Four were ahead of their time when he was part of that team.
Yep.
The Future Foundation. One last thing I want to mention was another thing I would like to see happen. The video game. Marvel Spider-Man by Insomniac Studios. By the way, kudos to you guys. You did an awesome job on it. The first game was awesome. You topped it off with this one, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then Spider-Man 2. All awesome games, very entertaining, very to the point of being like the book, the movie, and the cartoons all at once. Give it props, give it a shout out. Here's what I want to see done now. Spider-Man 3. And Sony, since you like to do spin-offs, you did one with Spider-Man Miles Morales, you could do a Spider-Gwen game, a Spider-Man Noir, or, like my favorite, Spider-Man 2099, Marvel Spider-Man 2099 game, Miguel O'Hara. He's not the villain in the movie. Keep that in mind. So imagine them as a video game. Keep spotting those games out. And Insomniac needs to be the ones to keep making them. They are awesome.
That's a great Spider-Man suit, too. The Insomniac Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, right
That's
there.
Amazing, yeah.
A little bit of red, white, and blue.
Keith agreed with you. Said a Venom game would be dope and a breath of fresh air as well from Insomniac.
Yeah, something different. Just something
different.
different.
In the Spider-Man 3 game, have them interact. You could control him as well as Miles and Peter. Something to think about. But you got to support Insomniac. They need to be the ones to still do it because they were the only ones that did it right. Just saying.
I'll just drop this real quick. Trendy books that you can actually go grab out, which are very, very hot at the moment. I know we're going to talk DC and Marvel real quick.
Sure.
You got the Joker #1. Uncanny X-Men 140 Dazzler because, Taylor Swiftie fans.
Taylor Swift. Supposed to be here.
Uncanny X-Men 141 Days of Future Past. Cable's making his appearance in X-Men 97.
That's right.
The cartoon, which is amazing. If you haven't watched it, you got to watch it.
X-Men 97.
Amazing Spider-Man 194. First appearance of Black Cat because the rumors are her probably popping up. Then you got 6 on the list. Batman the Killing Joke. There's 9 printings of this. Came out in 1988.
Wow.
Book is on fire. X-Men 94, giant sized. A 9.8 CGC sold for $37K. This was last week. Last week. X-Men Annual #8, which is controversy. First appearance of Gambit. He's in 17 panels and they mention him. And it actually dropped before the original 266 Uncanny X-Men with the cover of Adam Kubert with Gambit and Storm on the cover. Then #3 is Miss Marvel 9, first appearance of Deathbird because she was in the X-Men 97. #2, X-Men Deadly Genesis Part 1, the first appearance of Vulcan. If you saw him when they had the Shire in the 97 X-Men.
Yes, he showed up.
He showed up.
He was there.
Amazing.
They didn't acknowledge him, though. That was
He's the
weird.
third Scott Summers brother. You got Alex, Havoc, Cyclops, Scott.
Yes.
And then
Vulcan.
I'm not sure. Genesis.
Genesis.
And then #1 is TMNT Last Ronin #1 came out
Teenage Mutant Ninja
2020.
Turtles, yeah.
It's a square bound book, and this book is on fire. And because the announcement of a video game of it coming out.
They
Wow.
did. It's being developed under the same guidelines of God of War.
Yep, that's my.
So when you get that, you gonna play that?
Oh, I'll
Dev
play
game?
that.
Nice.
That's my.
What we
You
doing?
heard it first.
That's my top
Exclusive.
10. That's my top 10 of some shakers and books you gotta get your hands on. Very hot books, guys.
Wouldn't it be awesome if if everybody's spoiler alert, if you've seen X-Men 97, it was a great show, but wouldn't it be awesome if they do the same treatment for John Semper's Spider-Man that came out in the 90s from Fox?
Like
Just
the
a food
OG?
for thought.
Like the OG one?
Like the OG, you know,
I
we
like
never
the
found out what
Venom
happened to Gwen. We never found out what happened to Mary Jane. Madam Web was helping Spider-Man look for her after they went to the Spider-Verse thing. Wouldn't we like to see what happened after that? And I think this is our answer after X-Men 97.
What year did that come out, Spidey?
That I know it came out in 94, 93, and it
Just say-
ended right around 97.
They said 94. Just come out and be like Spider-Man 94 and just continue it.
Continue it, yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Everybody, if we start petitioning this, maybe they should make it Disney Plus. Something to think about.
Guys, if you have any questions or something you want to see us lock horns about or talk about, just feel free. Drop a comment. Get a hold of the show, and we can, powwow about it.
Once again, at twitch.tv/PevGamer. And remember, like the
Sponsor.
video
How about the
and
sponsor?
to subscribe us. And
Hey, who was the sponsor again for the show?
our sponsor is W Energy Drink.
Get your W on.
Get your W on, cause
Dubby, doobie.
and we're hoping the next episode, we have some W, because we will let you know how good they really are.
We'll get our W on.
Yep. Get our W on.
What's the promo?
What's the promo code, Pete?
Oh, the promo code. Oh, yes. If you shop at WG.GG, put the promo code PevGamer, all caps.
PevGamer.
You get 20% off.
10.
10.
10.
Oh, my
Whoa,
God.
hey.
Buddy. Whoa.
You're ruining me!
Sorry about that, everyone. 10% off everything in the
Jesus
store.
Christ.
We'll work on that 20%. We're going to work on that.
Get it
But
straight.
it's 10%. All you got to use the promo code PevGamer, all caps. Go to w.gg
Get your dub on.
and get your dub on.
Thank you,
Zero
guys.
sugar, guys. I'm telling you, it tastes magnificent.
Thank you, guys. We'll be bringing you in the future DC stuff, indie stuff,
Marvel,
you name it. Marvel vs.
We're gonna
DC.
do it.
It's all coming.
it's all coming.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you guys out there.
This is Tommy and Pedro
This is Tommy and
for the
Pedro.
Comic Convo Express.
Combo Express. Thank you, guys.
We're going to be rolling.
God bless. Take
God
care.
bless.